For this winter, we found a new challenge to do, and that is the fact that our pear trees are growing way too hard. And we tried root pruning them every year, but it doesn't seem to help enough. And while replanting the Dwyanda camise last year, we found out that the roots of these trees were growing very much parallel with the row, because we cut all the other roots, but not that ones. So now we want to cut that roots off, and to do so, we need to go in the other direction, which means we need to scratch every tree. So we got the excavator here, and I want to make a root cutter knife on the excavator. That way we can cut in the other direction over the roots of the tree, and hopefully we can cut through all the roots which are growing parallel in the row. And we're gonna do that on one side this season, and I think we do the other side next winter. And from there on, I hope we can do a lot of years again with just the usual root pruning, as this is very labor intensive. But let's see if we can figure out how to make this, and hopefully it's gonna work like intended. I wish it was easier, but it isn't. Alright, so this is a quick attachment. Now we need to make a connecting plate on there, and then another plate sticking out here, where we are gonna attach this knife to, as that's our root cutting knife. So we will have to connect that one to it. Alright, so we got this nicely welded up here, so that's ready to go. Now we got this part here. It's not the nicest, but it will work. We need to drill a few holes here, so we can put the knife on multiple positions, whatever we like in the future. I don't know yet what's gonna work or not, but I just want the possibilities. So this is the knife that we have, and this is the bolt hole pattern. So we are gonna work with the bolt hole pattern, and to do so I already marked it, and we're now gonna drill it with the drill. Well, that looks just like planned. I only hope it's gonna work in the orchard, but there's only one way to figure that out. So when it's light, we have to go in the orchard and see how it operates, as I really don't know, because we have quite a length here and maybe it doesn't work as nice. But we have to figure that out. Alright, let's give this one a try. So we're gonna go for the side way. So any root what is on that position will say, should say knack, that doesn't break. Now it broke. And then it came loose because this is a young tree, but it's growing way too hard. So that's a disadvantage of root cutting this way, because we don't have the speed. And usually the speed is also what makes the tree snap, and not so much just come loose. As we don't want to have them come loose out of the ground, we just want them to break some decent roots. And we are only breaking them on one side, that way the tree remains stable, but we want to hit the big ones. And this is sand ground, so I only have 3 trees to do in this row. That was that one, there's one on front, and we're gonna do this one. And this is actually an older one, as you can see on the roots. So we're gonna cut this one as well, and then this is done. And we will see next season how this one worked out on sand soil. And then we got a wool field on clay soil to go, which is just growing a lot more powerful. So in this row we root pruned a few trees, which is this one, and you can see this one is having a lot of growth this season because it has way too much branches, while the other trees, they are all really nice and calm. As you can see, there's barely any growth in there, and that's just perfect. So that way they produce a nice amount of pears, and it requires only a little bit of attention during pruning. And that's the balance we have to take, because if we have too much growth, we have way too much maintenance cost in pruning, so we want to reduce that. I pruned this one as well, so we cut it there as you saw in the video, and this one really needed it. I mean, these branches, this is from this season, it's 2 meters length coming on that tree, so that really needed a root pruning job. And I also did this one. This one also has branches of 1.5 meter here. And this is actually an older tree, so it needs it. I don't even think this is a conference. I think it's a different variety. And maybe this one would have been nice as well, but I already cleaned up the excavator. Alright, so here we are in the field with the root pruning knife. So we are gonna try this one out today on these pear trees in the clay field. It's actually raining, so it's quite wet. So I have to figure out if that's an advantage or a disadvantage for the root cutting. I really don't know. I never done it with an excavator this way. And we are definitely gonna have to learn how this all is gonna work. So let's unload it. back in the field with the excavator, and now it's actually daylight, and I need the daylight because we got 3 rows in this field where we have a sprinkler installation going, and I don't want to do this at dark with the sprinkler there because I will hit it. So now I can see what I'm doing, and at least I know for sure that we are not gonna break that one, because if I break that one a few times then it's gonna cost us money to fix it, because we need to get a coupler on every place where we break it, and these couplers, they cost some money. So if we break it on a few places, it's all adding up slowly, and I really want to prevent it. And especially the walk makes it even worse, because getting it fixed is just a horrible job. I just don't want to break it, so daylight is the way to go. So the knife is doing a perfect job. So as you can see, it's hanging on there and it's doing exactly as it should be. So I'm really happy on how that works out. Now let's get in the excavator and finish these 3 rows up. We are only gonna cut them on the side where the hose is not, because on that side I really fear for taking the knife out and slicing it through the hose. So I only cut from this side, and then we're gonna see if that helped enough or not. And we got some ideas if this doesn't help enough or what we can do next. But hopefully this is gonna help, because these pear trees at this moment don't have a lot of buds, and that means that we don't get a lot of pears next year, even while we didn't have an overload this year. It's just because of the growth of these trees. So they really need a hard break. Well, if the sound of your excavator changes all of a sudden, you have to check out what's going on. And this one is quite clear. The exhaust broke off. So here is the other part, and it's still hot, so I will have to let it lay here, and we pick that up after we're done with this, and I can weld that back on when we are at home. It might need a new exhaust because I see it's quite rotten. I can still weld it so I can work a few more days with it, but I will need a new exhaust in the end. That's what you get when you get 40-year-old equipment. So we did finish that one field of root cutting with the excavator, and now at home Dad decided to throw a row of plums out. And there's a few cherry trees in this one which have gotten quite big, as you can see, the size of my foot is, and then compared to the tree. So these trees, they were growing way too big, and eventually they give a lot of shadow over the other trees, so they had to come down. And there's a lot of reine-klauwde doelens in this field, and they have all been cut down now, because the doelens, it's a lovely plum. The issue is that we almost never get a good harvest of them, because they are so sensitive for rain and fungicides and all kind of sicknesses, and it's a really weak plum, so even if you pick them, they become weak within a day, so nobody ever gets to eat them like we eat them off the tree. So it's delicious off the tree, but not when you have to buy it. And the whole goal of having an orchard is, in the end, that we can sell our products, and if the product is not sellable, it has to go. So reine-klauwde doelens had to go. So I'm gonna root cut a few of these stumps, and then we're gonna attach the bucket. We can dig these out, and then we can dig new holes straight away for the new trees that we are gonna plant here, as we always plant new trees back. So I've been in bed for a few days because I've been ill, but it's getting a bit better now, but I still need a lot of protection from the cold, and it's nice in the excavator, so that's all perfect. But that's why I wear all this, because otherwise I get sick again.